Uh, you know, with everything going on, it's some scheduling issues. We decided that we were going to give you guys a early taste of our beautiful faces. As always, I am your host, Maddie Lukewarm Ice, and my co-host for the evening is Chris the Gorilla Binder.
What's up, fellas?
Yeah, flex. We got that video. Flex on them.
Yep.
Oh man, well, we got some exciting stuff. But let's start off real quick. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, so just a salute to all the military people that serve or that are going to serve our country. We appreciate you guys for protecting our freedoms and doing everything for us and so Veterans Day to all those of you running to anybody that is a veteran or anybody in your family, just thank them for their service. So just wanted to throw that out there real quick. I don't know if you have any family or anyone like that that's involved in that.
Yeah, I have a cousin that's in the Navy right now. He's actually an officer, graduated from Annapolis. I have another cousin that served 2 tours in Iraq and 1 tour in Afghanistan. And then I have 2 of my brothers were in the Marines and 1 was in the Navy. So, yeah, I have a lot of family. Then my grandpa served in Vietnam and Korea. I have a lot of family that's veterans. So,
awesome, cool. Well, I appreciate all of them for their service. I definitely wouldn't be able to do anything like that. So I'm glad that there's people out there, men and women, that can do that and can be able to help protect our freedoms for being able to live in the country that we live in. So great stuff with that. So let's get right into it. Let's jump right into it with what's going down, which since today is Tuesday, we can talk about Monday Night Football, which was the scintillating Jets versus the Patriots. And the Jets, man, were putting it on the Patriots. Joe Flacco kind of looks like Joe Flacco of old, like Super Bowl, Baltimore Ravens Joe Flacco throwing that deep ball. He was getting them with the deep ball. Stephon Gilmore take advantage of it, But then Joe Flacco got a little too confident, too cocky, ends up throwing a late interception in the fourth quarter. Patriots go down the field to tie it, and then right after that, they give the ball back. The Patriots go down the field and kick a game-winning field goal. So was it more so the Patriots not having Stephon Gilmore and everything going on with the Patriots this year, or the Jets are just that bad?
I don't know, man. The Jets, they just made some stupid mistakes in the end. Like, what was the point of bombing the ball like 40 yards? It was, 3rd down when he did that, through that interception? Bomb the ball like 30 yards.
I think it was like 2nd down. It was either first or 2nd down, yeah.
But, there was no point in it. They had the lead. There's 5 minutes left in the game. Run the ball. Why are you trying to, take the top off? There's no reason for that. Just run the ball, give it to Frank Gore. He's a beast. Let him run it down the Patriots' throat. They couldn't stop Frank Gore anyway. So just feed him.
Yeah, the Jets had time of possession. They were killing it when it came to time of possession. Like you said, they were running it down their throats. And on that deep ball interception, if Joe Flacco looks at the check down, he's wide open. I think it was a tight end. No one around him. He could have gotten a good 20 yards after the catch. And he decided, like you said, to bomb it 40 yards instead. And from a fantasy perspective, the Jets really did a number on me, because if they could have just bled the clock, I would have won against Boo Boo and would have had first place, but now I'm tied for second place with 3 other people. I only lost by 3 freaking points because the Patriots decided to run the ball with Cam Newton on the goal line 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row, the quarterback tried to quarterback sneak it. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, bootleg. No. 3 times quarterback sneak just right up the gut. And they finally got it in for a touchdown. But if they would have just ran the ball, I would have won. But the Patriots do not care about my happiness, apparently.
Yeah, I honestly think if Quinnen Williams had been playing, they wouldn't have been able to get that quarterback sneak. So, I mean, that kind of hurt the Jets, losing their big DT like in the center of the line, that would have helped stop him. But either way, like the Jets, that game last night, having the lead and throwing it away, throwing it away the way that they did. I can't words right now, sorry. But yeah, throwing that game away the way that they did, that just proved to me that they're bombing for Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I would not be surprised about that. Speaking of Trevor, to bring it up real quick with what's going down as well, the new college football playoff ranking came out because Notre Dame at the time ranked 4 beats number 1 Clemson in double overtime, no less. Now Clemson not playing with Trevor Lawrence, playing with their backup, their true freshman, and as well. Clemson had 6 people out on defense.
Was it 6? I thought it was 5 people on defense and one of their offensive linemen.
So yeah, that's probably where the 6 came from. Yeah, so one offensive lineman and then the 5 defensive players. So with that being said, I kind of called it, and we were messaging each other when this was happening, and I said, if Clemson loses and it's close, I was like, they'll still be in the top 4. But and that did come true. So the new rankings is number 1, Alabama, number 2, Notre Dame, number 3, Ohio State, and number 4, Clemson. And I actually think Clemson does deserve to still be in the top 4, even though they lost, because it was double overtime for one thing. They were behind. Like, they were getting pretty killed, and then the true freshman came back and led them back to go into overtime. But Clemson defense couldn't make a stop. Like, they just needed one stop and the game was over, because Clemson was ahead with a minute left in regulation, and Notre Dame went down the field and scored in under a minute to tie the game to send it into overtime. Then, in overtime, Clemson scored first. Notre Dame gets the ball. They, again, could not stop them. They tie it up, goes into second OT. Notre Dame's defense finally makes a stop, and so Notre Dame wins it, ends up winning it 47-40. So do you feel that the rankings are still just, or do you think that some of the, with Clemson having one loss, that they should be out of the top 4?
No, I honestly think Clemson should probably be, I think they should be number 3. I think Notre Dame should still be number 4. I don't think that they should jump Clemson because they didn't beat a healthy Clemson. And they almost lost to an unhealthy Clemson, to a completely demolished team. Like, they almost lost to them. Why did they jump them? Like, oh, Lord, we got the win over them, but you didn't face Trevor Lawrence. You didn't face 2 of their defensive backs. You didn't face 2 of their linebackers or one of their defensive ends. Like, you did not face a healthy team. How did you jump them? And you almost lost. Like, what the hell?
Right, yeah, I know, exactly. And I think this kind of attests to expanding the playoffs. So having it more than 4 teams, a lot of people want 18 playoffs at least. I think 8 teams would be a pretty decent number, to be honest. I think 8 teams would be great. I think 4 is still hard to determine, justifying leaving someone out. So like the number 5 team, maybe they never lose a game, and they're like, well, we should have been in. Clemson lost. We were undefeated, but we're ranked number 5. So I think an 8-team playoff would justify teams who have undefeated records still being able to get in and prove, hey, like we could beat a Clemson. Like right now they have Texas A&M at 5. I have no idea why Texas A&M is at 5. I think Cincinnati should be at 5 because Cincinnati has been blowing teams away. Cincinnati is down at number 7. So, but even if they had an 18 playoffs, Cincinnati at 7 would still be able to get into the playoffs. So do you agree with me that you think they should expand it, or do you like the 4-team setup?
I've always hated the 4-team setup. Like, I love the fact that they implemented the playoffs rather than just, 1 and 2 get the national championship. Like, that's what it was for so long. And they just pick a random bowl, and that would be the championship game. And then it became the national championship game, which was not one of the basic bowls. And now they've got the 4 teams. I don't think that's enough. Like, how many colleges are actually out there? Like, I mean, we run a top 25 all the time, and that top 25 is always moving around because teams are winning, teams are losing, and it's based off of, like, strength of schedule and how they actually play and points that they've scored. Like, there's a whole bunch of things that they actually look at. I don't even think 8 teams is enough.
Oh, really?
I would like to see, like, I don't know how they would run the bracket, but I would like to see, like, a 10-team or a 12-team, half of the top 25 get in. That way you have incentive to stay in the top 25 and fight for those to move up in the top 25 rather than just, SEC is going to get 2 spots guaranteed in the top 4, so they're going to be in the playoffs, and Big Ten's going to get a spot, and then the ACC and the Pac-12 get to fight for the 4th spot.
Yeah.
Like, it's figuring that out. But if you have 12, then there's actually something to fight for.
Yeah, that's true.
I will tell you, I'm tired of seeing Alabama.
Unfortunately, that's going to be there for a long time. Yeah, I hate seeing Alabama in it every year. But I mean, look how far LSU has dropped, though. Like, LSU was the most dominant team in college football last year with Joe Burrow and all the weapons on offense that they had. Their defense was all right, but it was mostly their offense. But now I don't even think they're in the top 25. No, they're not even ranked. So, I mean, that kind of shows the type of talent that they had that all went to the NFL that now they're not even a ranked team. So it's hard to keep the momentum like a Clemson and an Alabama, who every year keep getting the top recruits and they keep making their college team contenders, every year still. So I think it's a testament to the coaching and the recruiting to say, hey, we make the playoffs almost every year. Come to our school, So, LSU is a big, point there of showing that they didn't really recruit very well because they are already out of the top 25. So, but since you mentioned Trevor Lawrence and with the Jets and everything, I thought we should talk about the college football, especially with that big upset win with Notre Dame, and getting into that. Let's get into with NFL and everything that's been going on with that with this past week. So I think a couple of games kind of stood out to me a little bit when it comes to that, and of course we'll get into our top 5, bottom 5, which we did get one person to comment on our Facebook about it, and that was Melanie Felony. So she put in her top 5, bottom 5, but hoping we can get some more people maybe to participate in that going forward. I want to keep trying and keep posting and seeing what we get, but I
want to jump back really quick to Alabama. Like, we were talking about Alabama and how they get all the top prospects and everything. So while we were talking, I decided to pull up like how many players from Alabama actually got drafted in the 2020 draft. They had 4 players in the top 15.
Yeah.
So they had Tua, Jedrick Wills, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy. And then in round 2, Xavier McKinney, Trayvon Diggs, and Raekwon Davis all went in the second round. Like, that's stupid because they're all like great players in the NFL. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely they kind of have like a, I wouldn't say they have a good feel for it, but players want to go to Alabama and Clemson, because they're big schools in Ohio State. Ohio State's known as quarterback college or cornerback, not quarterback, but like CB, defensive back college. But that's kind of what we were talking about is they get all these top prospects, but it's because of how many times those teams actually like they have top prospects for the NFL. It's not necessarily top prospects from high school, but they're top prospects for the NFL.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
NFL teams look at those schools before they look at like an Oregon or a Utah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are going to look at those top schools way before they look at, like you said, like a smaller school or a lesser known school. So, yeah, that's very true. Unless you're in the Heisman hunt. So, like, if you're in the Heisman hunt, even if you're like from a small school, like you'll get noticed. But that's basically the only way though, because they don't get as much television coverage and different things like that. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Sorry, we can go back to Melanie the Felonies top 5.
Oh, well, no. I figured we'd talk about maybe some of the games first before we went into the top 5, bottom 5. Some of the games that kind of stood out to me. Of course, I know the game that you're probably going to point out, and so that's why I'm bringing it up. The Ravens and the Colts. A big time interception by the Ravens that, interception, I put in quotation marks for the audio people that are listening that can't see me doing it on the screen. Kind of turned the tide, like you said, for the game and kind of gave the Ravens the momentum after that. The Colts had a couple turnovers before that, though. They had a fumble that got taken back for a touchdown, which was the only score of the game. Like the Ravens only scored on defense in the first half. I shouldn't say the game, but first half. And then the second half, the Ravens started turning up the run game and getting a little bit more momentum. Is replay even like really helping these things out when they even look at the replay and still call it wrong?
I don't know. What's funny is they called it an incomplete pass. They initially called it an incomplete pass, and then Harbaugh threw the red flag, the challenge flag, and was like, he held it long enough to be an interception. Even Marcus Peters was like, I didn't intercept that. Like, that was an incomplete pass. Because as he's coming down, like, he's twisting the ball. Like, he never fully had control of the ball. And after the game, Phillip Rivers, like, pops off. He's like, how the hell was that a catch? If my receiver had caught it like that, it'd be an incomplete pass. Like, why is it an interception? That doesn't make sense. So they called it an interception, and then he fumbled it, and then one of the other Ravens players picked it up. But, yeah, I mean, even Marcus Peters was like, we don't need to challenge that. Like, I didn't catch it. And then somehow the refs gave it to him. Like, they were like, yeah, he intercepted it. He held the ball long enough. Like, he didn't. That's the thing. Like, that play made no sense whatsoever. And it completely flipped that game around. Because the Colts had held them to 55 total yards. They held the Ravens in the first half to 55 total yards.
Yeah.
Not rushing, not passing, total. That's insane to shut down Lamar Jackson that much. And then they turn around, and it was almost like the air got sucked out of the Colts off of that one turnover. Like, they just didn't play defense anymore. They weren't getting after Lamar. There was no more sacks. They just kind of gave up. Because at that point, like, I mean, me personally, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like, well, the refs are against me now, so what do I do?
Yeah, how you suppose you can't beat the refs, like, and that's always been a mantra of like NFL coaches or players or stuff. What's up?
Tom Brady.
Yeah. So one of the other games that I found very interesting was the Dolphins and the Cardinals. So, Tua finally got some momentum and, put up some offense against the Cardinals because he didn't put up any offense against the Rams when they played. The only reason why the Rams lost against the Dolphins was because of the Dolphins' defense. The defense did show up again against the Cardinals. Are the Dolphins like a legitimate threat right now in the division with the Bills? I mean, I don't know if they can take over the Bills of first place, but like, are they legitimate in maybe being able to get into a wild card situation for the Dolphins?
I actually think they are. Like, I don't think they're the division is the Bills to win, like the Bills to lose. They're not going to lose that division. They are that good of a team this year. But the Dolphins have come out of nowhere. Like, yeah. I don't know what happened. Like, they were terrible for the first couple games, and then they beat the Jaguars, and they very convincingly beat the Jaguars, and then they fell off again, and then they just blew up, and they start beating teams that they're not supposed to be able to beat. And like, their defense isn't that great, but it shut down the Rams. It shut down the Cardinals. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah,
so, I think they're true contenders this year. Like that, it surprises me to no end. But yeah, I think they're actually contenders.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they beat the 49ers as well. So, I mean, the last team that they need to beat is the Seahawks. So it's just like, that's like, I can't remember if they've played them yet or not. I think they might have played them in loss. I can't remember. But the Dolphins, I feel like their defense kind of sparked the offense in a way. Like, so I feel like they have a lot of momentum to be able to snag a wild card spot, if they want. And playing on the road this year isn't that bad because teams, stadiums don't have packed stadiums. Some of them, most of them are at 0 attendance anyways. So it would not hurt the Dolphins at all to be on the road for a wild card game when it comes to that.
Just really quick, the Dolphins did lose to the Seahawks in Week 4.
Okay, I thought they did. I thought the Seahawks had beaten them. But yeah, they beat everybody else in our division. So let's see. I'll let you pick out one last game, and then we can get into the top 5, bottom 5. So what game kind of stood out to you that you want to talk about?
The Bills and the Seahawks. So the Bills against the Jets kicked 6 field goals. Don't score any touchdowns. Their defense is garbage. They almost lose that game to the Jets. And they come into the 5-1 Seahawks and just run the gambit on them. Like, Josh Allen threw for 3 touchdowns, like 400 yards. He rushed for a touchdown. He had like 65 rushing yards. Like, I mean, they came in with a game plan and they destroyed the Seahawks. I mean, they picked off Russell Wilson, I think 2 or 3 times. I mean, they just, dude, Russell Wilson still had a good game. He still got his touchdowns, he still like ran the ball off of people, but they had him running for his life that entire game.
Yeah.
So that game really, really stood out to me because it showed how strong the Bills really can be.
Yeah, that was very surprising to me, especially with like how tough everyone is saying like the NFC West is right now, when it comes to all the teams that are in it. But it's kind of like the old saying goes, like any given Sunday, type of thing. So sometimes another team just has your number that day. I guess I don't know if I want to talk about that now. Maybe we should talk about it before getting into the top 5, bottom 5. So, I mean, we always try to, kind of predict and say, like, who's at the top of the MVP race, who's at the top of the Defensive Player of the Year race, who's at the top of Rookie of the Year right now. So, I mean, when it comes to MVP, I feel like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers were at the top of the list, and they had like all the momentum in the world, but I feel like that momentum is kind of dying down. I'm almost tempted to put Patrick Mahomes back at the top of the list again. I mean, he, like, in the game that they played in, the last 2 games that they've played in, I think he's thrown a total of like 8 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns or something like that, and no interceptions. He's thrown for like over 400 yards in both of those games. He's the quickest player to reach 100 touchdowns. He did it in 40 games. Dan Marino did it in 44 games, and then Kurt Warner did it in 50 games. So Patrick Mahomes is the quickest to reach 100 touchdowns. Am I off base here, or is there maybe, or is it still Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, them two in that kind of race?
No, you're not off base. And it was really funny because I was watching First Take today with Stephen A. Smith, and they actually brought this up. They're like, who is the MVP right now? Like, if the season ended, who would be the MVP? And one of the guys, who was it? I think it was Jeff Saturday. Actually, he's the only one that said Aaron Rodgers. Everybody else said Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Patrick Mahomes, like, I hate that he plays for the Chiefs. I'd be okay if he played for any other team, like, except for the Broncos. Get him out of my division. I don't like it. But no, it showed his stat line. He's got 25 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Gosh, man.
The only other person that has ever done that was Tom Brady in the year that they went 16-0.
When he had Randy Moss.
He had Randy Moss. He had 25 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's the only other quarterback to ever do that. No quarterback has ever gone 25-1. Or was it him or Brady? No, it was Brady. Breeze went 24-2 one time, but Breeze has been really close. He has great accuracy. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes, if he's not in the conversation for MVP after the last 2 games, then people don't know what they're talking about. Like, he has to be in the conversation. I still think that it's Aaron Rodgers. I still think he's kind of the front runner, but Patrick Mahomes is quickly sneaking up on him.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think Russell Wilson has kind of dropped off when it comes to the last couple of games that he's been playing. And of course, I mean, his defense hasn't been helping him out at all either. So I think that's going to influence our top 5, bottom 5 a lot when it comes to that. So far, well, I was thinking about getting into defensive player of the year and like rookie of the year so far right now, but I think we can leave that for later.
There was some news that you probably missed, but need to touch on. So Vance McDonald, the Steelers tight end, on Monday started showing symptoms for COVID, so he got tested, and he tested positive. So now Ben Roethlisberger, Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, and one other player, I think it's one of their other tight ends, are all in COVID, like the COVID list.
The protocol, yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing all the testing. They're not allowed to practice, but they have to have 3 negative tests before they can play on Sunday. And then they actually believe that he had it when he played on Sunday, Cowboys. So they're actually going to start testing all the Cowboys players as well, just to make sure.
Well, I mean, they get tested every day anyway. So, I mean, I don't think it really matters that. Oh, well, now we have to test the Cowboys. It's well, they were going to be tested either way. So, I mean.
Yeah. I think it's more of the Cowboys are just being super cautious because of him having it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's understandable with all the protocols and safety measures that they're trying to take for it. I know that the NFL, I think it said the NFL owners approved being able to do a bigger playoff if the season does end early because of COVID. So they potentially could be having a bigger playoff bracket if the season doesn't go all the way through. So that is a possibility.
So what they did was they opened it up to 18 weeks instead of 17 weeks. And there's games that have been, like, if games get canceled or postponed due to COVID, if they're not able to play them in the 18th week, like if it's still COVID issues, then they're going to expand it. So they're giving them until the 18th week to have those games played.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our top five, bottom five. Let me pull up what Melanie the Felony had to say about that on our Facebook page. Let me take a look here. Can't remember if she had commented on our actual page or if it was or if it was on my page. It looks like it was on my personal page. So let me pull that up. Alrighty. So for Melanie the Felony's top five, bottom five. Her bottom five, she had the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Giants, and then of course the Jets being the worst team in the NFL, which was a pretty easy go-to, I think, for anybody. She loves making fun of the Jets, and she was laying into the Patriots last night so bad. She was just like, "How are they losing this bad to the Jets? They should be blowing them out of the water. It shouldn't even be close." She was definitely giving it to him for having so many problems against the Jets. So hopefully the Rams have them in 2 or 3 weeks. They have the Jets, so hopefully we'll be able to beat them and not have it be so close. But her top five, she has the Ravens at 5. She said she changed her mind about the Rams. She didn't want to put them at 4 anymore, but she originally did have them at 4. Then she had the Packers, the Seahawks, and then the Chiefs as her number 1 because she's a big Chiefs fan. So she has them at number 1. Yeah, I know. You being a Raiders fan, that doesn't work out too well for you.
No.
Oh shoot. All right, so let's get into our bottom 5 to start off with first, then, just because that's a little bit easier to do, and then the top 5 with everything that's been going on will kind of get mixed up a little bit more. So I'll have you start off with your bottom 5.
All right. So my bottom 5, number 5 is probably I'll say the Giants. Even though they beat Washington, and somebody actually made a comment on one of the, I think it was Sports Center. It was really funny. It says, of course, a win team is going to lose to a 1-win team, and that's just the way the NFC East is. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Giants as number 5, and then number 4, I have to put the Cowboys in there. They're playing with quarterbacks. There's a meme going around about the Cowboys, and it's Jerry Jones dressed up in the uniform. He says, "You know what? Screw it. We need a quarterback. I'll go in."
Love it.
And then there was another one. They signed the ball launching machine, the ball throwing machine, to a 1-year contract.
That's awesome.
It's bad. It's bad. I always dog on the Cowboys because my mom's a Cowboys fan. But with Dak Prescott, I think it would be a different story with the team this year. I really do. Had he not gotten injured, but him getting injured and then Andy Dalton get that concussion, that completely changes their entire season. So I have to put him down there. So yeah. Number 3, I'm gonna put the Texans. They're such a disappointment this year. I thought they'd be better than they were. I was rooting for them. And then number 2, Jaguars. Jaguars are on a 7-game losing streak. The only streak that's worse than that is the number 1 worst team in the NFL, and that is the New York Jets. And for the first time in the New York Jets history, they are 0-9.
Man, gosh, that yeah, that's they're basically like the Cleveland Browns of old. You know, everyone just remember the Cleveland Browns as being, you know, the team that went winless. I think the Detroit Lions went winless one year as well. So
Lions were the first to do it.
What?
The Lions were the first team to do it.
Oh.
The Lions did it first, then Cleveland did it, and now I think the Jets are going to do it.
They're going to be the third team to do that. Well, all right. Well, I'll do my bottom 5 then. This is interesting, you know, for some of these teams and what you were saying. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I got to put the New York Giants at number 5. They've just been doing terrible. They don't have Barkley, and their defense is all right, but it's still, you know, they can't do anything with Danny Dimes. Number 4, gosh. Number 4, because there's so many in the NFC East that you could put in there. You could just have you could have them as, like, you know, 4 teams in your bottom 5 right there, like, if you wanted to, technically. But yeah, so I guess Giants, and then I'll go with Houston. I mean, Houston is, you know, at least they got a good quarterback. You know, they try. They've been in some close games. So I'll put Houston at 4. And then 3, I'll put the Cowboys. Like you said, they're on their 4th-string quarterback. He plays to play in the AFL. You know, he put up a good fight against the Steelers. I'll give him that. The Steelers game was a lot closer than what it needed to be. The Steelers should have ran over them, and they didn't. So I'll give him props for, you know, him going in there and trying to make something of it. Let's see. I think that was number 3, right? So number 2, I agree, is Jacksonville. Like, I think they benched Minshew and started their backup quarterback in their game.
Luton.
Yeah, so I mean, Minshew's not even playing, so they've given up. I think they're trying to get Trevor Lawrence too, to be honest. So
I'll give Jake Luton props. Like, did you see that pass? That, like, his second ever pass in the NFL was like a 54-yard strike to DJ Shark. Like, beautiful pass, touchdown. I mean, it was beautiful to watch. But then they just fell apart.
Yeah, no, I had missed that, so I didn't see that. But yeah, and then number 5, the worst team, of course, is the Jets. They're the winner of the golden ticket for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft as of right now. So they're really trying their best. they definitely want it.
According to analysts right now, the Jets have a 63% chance to have the number 1 pick.
Oh, gosh. That's a high number. that is really high. All right, so we'll do our top 5 now in the NFL. Shaking up things a bit with everything that's been, you know, going on here lately. Let's see. I'll start off. So number 5, let's see. That they would be 2. That would be 1, 3. Yeah, I'll go. I'll go with the Saints at number 5. I think they proved a lot with beating the Bucks twice now in the season. You hold Tom Brady to 3 points. I mean, they just, the Bucks added Antonio Brown. He didn't do anything against that Saints defense. You know, oh, well, you're laughing now, so now I got to ask why.
So after the game, there was a meme of Antonio Brown in the Bucks uniform, and it was him smiling, and it says, "Look, it only took me 1/2 to ruin this team."
Oh my God. So yeah, I'm gonna put them at number 5. I think the Saints have a lot going on, especially with Kamara and Michael Thomas being back now. Brady throws the ball to anybody. He don't care. He'll throw it to your mom if she is able to get open. So I mean, he threw it to I think like 12 different receivers in that game. Like it was ridiculous. 12 different people caught the ball for him. So number 4. I'm going to put the Green Bay Packers. I think they're still looking great. Aaron Rodgers, like you said, still up there for MVP discussion. They kind of got over the hump of the 49ers on Thursday Night Football. But, yes, the 49ers were beat up and everything. They didn't have their defense, but they got stomped by the 49ers in the championship game. So this is kind of their revenge. Let's see, number 3. Yeah, number 3, the Buffalo Bills. I think they proved a lot with being able to stomp the Seahawks like they did. If their defense can hold up, Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs now, and he has that number 1 receiver to be able to go to and be able to open up the whole field for him. So definitely want to put the Bills at 3. I know people are probably going to get mad at me for doing this, but number 2 is the Steelers. I know they haven't lost a game yet, but that Dallas game should have been easy for them. That should have been a cakewalk, and it was a lot harder than what it needed to be. Did they pull off the win? Yes, but it's still a lot of their games are coming down to the wire. They could easily be 6-2 right now, with the Ravens game and the Cowboys game. So, putting them at number 2, and then my number 1. I know you're gonna hate it, but the Chiefs. The Chiefs are my number 1 top team. Mahomes looking like an MVP candidate right now. I don't think there's a deficit number that they can't come back. They could be down by 40 points, and I'd still be like, they got a chance. Like they could come back. It could happen, So I gotta put them number 1 on my list, even though they have one loss. Sorry, Steeler Nation, Steeler fans. I know everyone's making me crap about it, but it's how I feel right now for my top 5.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
So for me, number 5. I'm actually gonna put the Bills at number 5. I think they need to prove a little more. They torched the Seahawks defense, but the Seahawks defense sucks. But they fell apart against the Jets. Like they should not have fallen apart against the Jets. That should have been a blowout game. Like that game, both of us picked the Bills, and we were sweating it. Like that wasn't even. It's almost like the Steelers versus the Cowboys. Honestly, like that should not have even been a close game. But the Bills have actually proven a lot. They're showing that they're tough, they're gritty. They just need to their defense needs to step up a little more. I think Josh Allen, honestly, he should be in the talks for MVP as well. Like maybe not up there with like Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, but honestly, I think he's kind of close to Russ Wilson. I think he's right there. I think he's probably a number 4, close to a number 3 for the MVP race right now. Then number 4, I'm going to put the Saints. The Raiders beat the Saints, and putting the Saints at number 4, I think they've shown a lot of resilience, and they're on a 5-game win streak. They've stepped up. They've just started stomping everybody that they're playing. And the way they shut down Tom Brady and that Bucs high-powered offense, Tom Brady, they held them to 3 points, and they intercepted Brady 3 times and sacked him 3 times. So, I mean, they got after him. They showed that their defense, like, we all know Drew Brees is going to tear it up. Drew Brees is going to throw for 4,500 yards and probably 35 touchdowns. He's got Michael Thomas, who now holds the record for most receptions in a single year. And then he's got Emmanuel Sanders on the other side with Traquan Smith, Alvin Kamara lining up behind him. They have a beast offense. Everybody knows that. But now their defense is showing, hey, we're here. This is who you need to look at. Don't look at our offense. Don't worry about them. We're going to shut teams down. So I think the Saints, they've proven over the last 5 games that them losing to the Raiders was a fluke. And I'm a Raiders fan, but honestly, the Saints should have won that game. They're back in the talks for, a Super Bowl favorite team. Number 3, I'm gonna put the Packers. I think they need to be up there just because Aaron Rodgers is still money. Devontae Adams is on an absolute tear. He is on pace. He missed 2 games, and then he had the bye week, right? So he's played 6 of the 8 games. In the 6 games, his average, if you had broke it out over 16 games, in 6 games, he is set to pass the reception yards record and go for over 1,800 receiving yards and 144 receptions with 21 touchdowns. That would be the 3rd person in history to have 21 receiving touchdowns. The other 2, Randy Moss and Jerry Rice.
Oh, man, that's good company to be with.
Right? Devontae Adams is on an absolute tear, and Aaron Rodgers is making sure he's feeding him the ball. And then when they're covering Devontae Adams, they just hand it off to Aaron Jones, and he's just running people over like none other. But the problem is nobody can cover Devontae Adams. That's where that's where teams are having problems. Every game that he's played in, over 100 yards. He's had 2 games. Like this last Sunday, he had 196 receiving yards with, I think it was 11 receptions. Those weren't even his highest numbers for the season. That's insane. Because of him and Aaron Rodgers and their what's the word that I'm thinking of?
Their connection. Their
connection. That I put them at 3. They're pushing for number 2. The only reason that they're not number 2 is because number 2 is an undefeated team, the Steelers. I did the same thing you did. They dropped down. The reason they dropped down is because the number 1 team, the Chiefs, the Steelers, if they played the Chiefs right now, they would lose. The Chiefs would hand them their ass, hands down. It wouldn't even be a game. It wouldn't be fun to watch, especially being a Raiders fan. I just don't want to watch the Chiefs tear people apart the way that they do. But because of that knowledge that, I know the Chiefs can beat the Steelers and would beat the Steelers right now, you have to put the Chiefs at number 1, even though they've lost a game. Their one game they lost was to the Raiders, which makes me very happy. But seriously, the Steelers are number 2 and the Chiefs are number 1.
Fair enough. I like it. So we both ended up agreeing with Melanie the Felony, at least with who the number 1 team is right now. So
don't tell her.
don't let her know that. Yeah, let's not get her, head any bigger right now. So, alrighty. Well, let's see here. So now we can get into our picks of the week. Picks of the week. NFL picks of the week. Let's get an update of how things shook up from this previous week. I don't think I added up the new numbers as of right now. Let's see.
You had everything through the Sunday day games when we talked.
Yeah, I just didn't add up since Thursday Night Football hasn't happened yet. I haven't added it up. So as of what happened last week, and we should have, updated everyone if we would have done a podcast earlier, I'm at 97.5 and 33. You're at 91.5 and 38. So I'll add up the new numbers for that with everything. But as of right now, that's, where we stand for that. I don't think you really caught up too much with me for this past week because you went against me a lot and it didn't pay off too well for you.
Some of the games did, but some of the games didn't. So, I took the Jets over the Patriots. And I really thought they were going to win that the way they were playing until 5 minutes left.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, that definitely could have helped you since you're behind by so much. But we'll see how this can help you coming up. If you really want to get ahead of me, you're going to keep picking against me. To be able to try to catch up or not.
You just got to stop picking the better teams.
I'm just saying, you have a shovel right now and you keep digging for some odd reason. You need to stop digging. You're good. You're already in a hole.
I know.
All right. Let me pull up the schedule then for this coming week for what we have. So we already picked the Thursday night game. Both of us picked, I think, the Titans for this coming week.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Colts and the Titans. We ended up both picking the Titans, so we're both on the same page for that one. So the first one for Sunday coming up will be the 6-2 Seahawks versus the 5-3 Los Angeles Rams. Alrighty, so I'll start off with this one. Rams coming off of the bye week, the hard loss against the Dolphins, but now the Dolphins are kind of looking more, like a contender, so it doesn't seem as bad of a loss. Seahawks getting pummeled by the Bills. I actually think that is going to help the Rams. And I think the Rams are going to come and take this because they're going to learn from what the Bills did against that Seahawks defense, and they're going to be able to take advantage of it. The Rams defense is a lot better than the Seahawks, defense. That Rams defense, I think a lot of people were questioning how well they were going to be because they're so young. But Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald are holding their own in both of those positions for the Rams. So yeah, I think the Rams are going to take this one, and then they'll be tied for first place with the Seahawks, which is always a good thing. Tied for first in the division.
All right. So yeah, I'm going with you. I'm going to take the Rams on this one. I watched this podcast thing, and Aaron Donald was a guest on it, and they asked him, they were kind of giving him crap, and then they were like, "We're really afraid of you, so we're just joking. Just relax because you're scary." They asked him, "How much do you actually bench?" And he's like, "Do you really want to know?" They're like, "Yeah, you're 6'1", 300 pounds. How much do you bench?" And he's like, "I max out at 550." I'm like, you bench 550 pounds, dude. That is insane.
Right?
Like, and DK Metcalf, it was him and DK Metcalf that were on it. And DK looks over and goes, dude, are you serious? Like, I'm strong as hell and I can bench 300. Like, that's nuts. Like, Aaron Donald is a monster. And I mean, he's proving it that again this year. Like we said at the beginning of the year, dude's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Like, he is. There's no question about it. So yeah, it's got to be LA. They're gonna tear the Seahawks apart.
I love it. I think I'm gaining a little bit more and more confidence that the Rams might be able to, take the division this year still, because the Seahawks are looking kind of unstoppable there, but they kind of have some, kinks in the armor now. So the next matchup is the 2-6 Texans versus the 5-3 Browns. So you get to start off on this one, good sir.
The last couple of games, Deshaun Watson has started to look good. Brandon Cooks looks good. The only thing is their defense is garbage still. The only reason that they actually won this game is they had two really long passes for touchdowns. Like, one of the passes, I think it was like 70 yards. Deshaun Watson hits Brandon Cooks on a screen, and dude, he just hauled down the sideline. Like, nobody could catch him. It was ridiculous. It was Brandon Cooks of old. Like, he looked good. The question is Baker Mayfield actually going to be playing? Because I know he was in COVID, in the COVID list and everything too. So they weren't sure if he was actually going to play. So this one makes it tough because Beckham's already out. Kareem Hunt's questionable. Baker Mayfield's questionable. But I'm going to throw a lock and say the Browns.
A lock? Oh, my gosh. He's going with the lock. He's locking it up. Oh, my gosh.
They don't have an answer for Myles Garrett.
You what?
The Texans' O-line does not have an answer for Myles Garrett. I think he's going to just ruin Deshaun Watson's day.
Alrighty, so, yeah. Fair enough. Well, I'll agree with you on this one. I'm going to go with the Browns. I think all the things that you said is spot on, so I don't need to add anything to it other than I'm just going to go with the Browns as well. I like it. All right, so the next matchup is the 2-6 Washington football team versus the 3-5 Detroit Lions.
Exciting game.
So with that, man, I gotta go with the Lions on this one. The Washington football team, they had a chance to beat the New York Giants, which is in my bottom five. I mean, so. And Alex Smith goes in. He's the new probably comeback player of the year for the Washington football team and in the NFL. If he keeps playing the whole year, no matter how bad he plays, Alex Smith will get the comeback player of the year because of all the things that he had to come back from. So I was rooting so hard for them when he got put into the game. Poor Kyle Allen got his ankle broke. I think it was his ankle. So he's out for the season. I mean, the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys are running out of quarterbacks. They don't have any more quarterbacks. So got to go with the Detroit Lions.
All right. This one's tough. Matt Stafford didn't play well against the Vikings, and I had picked the Lions because I figured the Lions could beat him. But the reason that he didn't play well, he didn't practice with the team. He was separated from the team all week because of the COVID list. Like, he never had COVID, but he had to do all the testing and everything. So they actually kept him separated from the team. Like, even when they went to Minnesota and they were in the hotel, he was in a separate wing. So this week, he's practicing with them. I don't think Alex Smith is quite ready yet. Like, Alex Smith of old, maybe, but Alex Smith now, where he's been relegated to the third string, and he wasn't really like practicing with the first team. He wasn't getting those first team reps, and now all of a sudden he's thrown in. Alex Smith has always been a solid quarterback, but the Washington football team, they have the best defensive line draft class that you could ever ask for. Three of their four defensive linemen are first-round picks. And then they have Terry McLaurin, who is quickly becoming well-known as one of the best wide receivers, but they don't really have anything else. Their running game, Darius Geis, is dealing with law issues, and I think he opted out, or he ended up leaving to deal with his law issues. But I don't think they've held up their potential on the defense like they should have. For that, I have to go with the Lions as well. I'm not going to catch you if we're picking all the same.
Alrighty. Well, all right. So the next matchup is the 1-7 Jaguars versus the 6-2 Packers. I think you start off on this one.
Packers, done. There's nothing to discuss here. It's not even going to be fun to watch. It's not we've had some close games and stuff. Yeah, okay. Oh, you're going for your loss on this one? I thought that was the upset one for a minute. I was like, what? Yeah, no, Packers all day.
Yeah, I'm going to go with my lock here. Going to throw up the lock, and I'm going to go with the Packers. Got to go with the Packers. They should demolish them. It shouldn't even be close. So, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Next one, the 3-4-1 Eagles versus the 2-7 Giants. So I get to start off with this one. The Giants coming off a win, but I still think the Eagles, it's their division to lose now, to be honest. So I'm going to go with the Eagles just for the simple fact that I really feel that they're going to win the division. It's a crappy enough division that somebody's got to win it, so it might as well be the Eagles. So, yeah, I gotta go with them. And Carson Wentz, I think he's got a little bit of momentum going his way here lately. So.
Yeah, and didn't they just come off the bye week?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. So I went with my upset pick last week for the Giants, and yeah, they held it out. You were surprised that I did that. They still won it. They almost lost, but there we go. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one. I don't think the Giants can hold up against the Eagles.
Alrighty, awesome. All right, and then we got the 6-3 Buccaneers versus the 3-6 Panthers. The Panthers kind of giving the Chiefs a little bit of scare with having McCaffrey back, but now McCaffrey might not be back. He was back for one game, but now with a shoulder injury, he might not be playing again. The Bucs coming off a really terrible loss against the Saints. Yeah, you get to start off with this one.
Tom Brady doesn't really lose back-to-back games in the division. The Saints beating him the second time was actually the first time in Brady's career that he's ever lost both games to one division rival.
Oh, wow.
He's gone 1-1 against division rivals, but he's never lost both games against a division rival. And Drew Brees putting the beat down on him was the first time that ever happened. I think he's going to come back angry, and I don't think the Panthers have enough defense to hold him back, even though they have the entire team record of Antonio Brown. I still think the Bucs are going to come out on top on this game.
Alrighty, fair enough. Yeah, I think the Panthers have kind of lost all momentum with all these close games that they've been losing. So I'm going to go with the Bucs as well on this one. Like you said, they're going to be angry and upset. Last time when he lost a game that badly, like he came out and torched the next team. So I think, he'll do the same thing against the Panthers. So, yeah, going with the Bucks on that one as well. This one will be interesting because we all know how it's going to go. The 3-5 Broncos versus the 5-3 Raiders. I wonder who he's going to pick.
Raiders
broke your golden rule and you picked the Broncos to win this past weekend. So I don't know what was going on with that, but you went against your own rule.
Didn't even think about it. I just was throwing picks out there, and I was like, "Oh, the Broncos are gonna win." And then after I sent it, I was like, "Crap! I actually picked the Broncos." But I have to go with my Raiders.
The Raiders. No, I mean, you're right. Your Raiders got lucky against the Chargers because they, had the Chargers wide receivers drop 2 balls in the end zone. They
weren't dropped.
Game winners. So.
They weren't dropped. They were knocked out by Isaiah Johnson. He actually did his job for once. Finally did his job.
But the goal, the rule is if it hits the wide receiver's hand, you have to catch it. It doesn't matter what the defense is doing. If it hits your hand, you should catch it. And they did not, so the Raiders ended up winning. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think the Broncos don't have enough. So, yeah, going with the Raiders. All right, the next matchup is the 2-6 Chargers versus the 5-3 Dolphins. So like we said, the Dolphins kind of having some momentum with their defense and how well they've been doing. I'm actually going to pick the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins keep that momentum going, and I think they're able to pull out a win. I think if their defense keeps dominating like they're doing, then, the Chargers won't be able to do anything to stop them. And the Chargers keep on losing all these close games too, where it comes down to a final play. I think that's the Chargers' MO for the past 3 years. They just lose close games. At the very end, they always find a way to lose somehow. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Dolphins.
So this is a rematch of Tua versus Herbert.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and Tua got the best of Herbert last time, but Herbert didn't have, what's his name, Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. So the Dolphins, yeah, they're on a tear right now. But I'm going to put this as my upset pick, and I'm picking the Chargers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Going with the upset pick. I like it. All right. Going with the Chargers. Let's see if they can do it. They can pull it off.
Probably
all right,
not.
the next matchup is the 7-2 Bills versus the 5-3 Cardinals. So you get to start off with this matchup.
The way the Bills dismantled the Seahawks looked crazy, and then the Dolphins beat the Cardinals. That shouldn't have happened. But I think the Cardinals are going to take this game. I really do. The Bills, I don't think their defense is ready for Kyler Murray. The Dolphins' defense is honestly a little better than the Bills' defense, which surprised me because I thought the Bills' defense at the beginning of the year was going to be the number 1 defense in the league. And they're not. But I don't think they're ready for Kyler Murray. So I think the Cardinals actually take this one.
All right, I like it. And I'm going to throw up the upset pick, and I'm gonna go with the Cardinals on this one. Oh yeah, the upset pick. So yeah, going with the upset, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals as well. I think the Cardinals bounce back, to be honest, just because they're going to be upset at losing to the Dolphins, just like the Rams, were going to be upset at losing to them. So, I think Murray and Hopkins kind of go off. I think they get some big numbers and they hook up with each other. So, all right, The next matchup is the 4-5 49ers versus the 6-2 Saints. 49ers are too beat up. It seems like Jimmy G is going to be out. Kittle's going to be out for 8 weeks, which is basically the rest of the season. So, I got to go with the Saints. They got all their players. They got the momentum. They just beat up the Bucks. I think they keep it rolling. They get an easy win over the Niners.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. The 49ers are so beat up, it's not even funny. Like, they don't even have – I think they have half of their defensive starters from the beginning of the year. And then Mostert has been back and forth with injuries. Kittle's out for 8 weeks. Jimmy G's out for 6 weeks. Nick Mullins is looking good, but he didn't really look good against the Packers. And the Saints have a little better of a defense than the Packers do. So I think Nick Mullins is going to get torched. I think he's going to probably throw 2 or 3 interceptions in that game, and it's not going to be fun. He's going to be sacked probably 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it's not going to be a pretty game for the 49ers, but it's going to be a beautiful game for the Saints, and I think they take that win.
Awesome. All right, the next matchup is the 2-5-1 Bengals versus the 8-0 Steelers. So you get to start off with this one.
This one, it really depends on who's playing, because the Steelers without Big Ben are crap. If Big Ben plays, they're going to take the game. But if he doesn't play, if he's out for COVID, then the Bengals are going to win the game. So this one's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that Big Ben's actually going to play, and I think the Steelers take the game.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers as well. I think whether Big Ben plays or not, Joe Burrow is going to have a hard time with the Steelers defense. TJ is going to get to him a bunch of times. Burrow has been sacked a million times already. So, I don't think that's ever going to change until they start getting some better offensive linemen. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers on this one. All right. The next matchup, the Sunday night game, is the 6-2 Ravens versus the 3-5 Patriots. Patriots, the Jets game did not give me any more hope for them. It really didn't. That didn't make me say, oh, yeah, maybe they still have a chance. No, they still did not look good. They just got lucky that Joe Flacco didn't, wanted to throw the ball down the field. So I'm going to go with the Ravens and their tough defense. They're, even if Stephon Gilmore plays for the Patriots, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. The Patriots just don't have hardly anyone on defense because half of them opted out at the beginning of the season because of COVID. So, yeah, Ravens definitely.
I'm going to go with you on that one and go with the Ravens because they look like a dumpster fire against the Jets until the last 5 minutes. Pretty sad that the Jets were just running all over you, stomping you, throwing the ball all over the field, and shutting you down. They shut down Cam Newton. And it's funny because Cam Newton, in a press conference after, he's like, I'm tired of sucking. Well, there's a reason you got dropped from the Panthers because you're not the quarterback you were when you came into the league. You're just not. You're throwing the ball into the ground. You can't even get the ball to your receivers. You're getting runs, but they're 1 and 2 yards. At the beginning of the year, he started to look good, and then he just fell apart again. It's Cam Newton. He's not that good. Lamar Jackson is going to take it and show that he's the better quarterback.
Alrighty, I like it. All right, and then the Monday night game is the 3-5 Vikings versus the 5-4 Bears. I guess you get to start off with this one.
The Bears have been in a slump. They've started to lose games. They're looking like the Bears. The Bears. They're not looking good at all. Nick Foles is not the answer. As much as I like Nick Foles and I respect him as a quarterback and as a person, he's not the answer for the Bears. He's just not. And Dalvin Cook is on an absolute tear. The Bears are not going to be able to stop him. He's going to run over Khalil Mack and make Khalil Mack look like a terrible pick. Like, Dalvin Cook is just that good. So, yeah, I'm going with the Vikings on this one.
Yeah, I 110% agree with you. The Vikings, Dalvin Cook is like looking like a machine. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I think it's between him and Derrick Henry for the rushing title right now, because they're both just running over everyone and scoring touchdowns at that as well. So yeah, I'm going with the Vikings. Like you said, Nick Foles is not the answer, unfortunately, for the Bears. I think their defense, the Bears' defense, has kind of been declining just because the offense isn't doing that much. The defense can only handle so much. Like, if you're on the field more often, you're eventually going to get tired no matter how good of a defense you are. So, if your offense can't stay on the field to be able to give you some time to rest, then, it doesn't matter.
Oh my Lord.
Right. What?
So I just pulled up the rushing yards, right? In the NFL rushing stats, because you said it was between Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry. So Dalvin Cook is at 858 yards in 7 games played. Derrick Henry in 8 games played is at 843. Guess who third place is? Without looking it up.
Oh my goodness, third place. I would have said Nick Chubb if he was still healthy, but gosh, I don't even know who to guess that would be the second closest.
I'll just throw it at you. Josh Jacobs for the Raiders.
Oh, third. Wow. I would not have guessed that. Yeah.
Yeah. So first, like I said, Dalvin Cook, 858. Derrick Henry, second, 843. Josh Jacobs, third, 588. 260 yards behind Derrick Henry.
Oh, my God. Holy cow.
Like, Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry are the only two averaging over 100 yards per game. Like, Josh Jacobs is averaging 73 yards a game, and he's in third place.
Oh, my God. That's not even close. Like,
no. So when you say Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry, you're 100% right. Like, nobody else is even in the mix right now.
Alrighty, well, the last matchup then that we have, of course, is the Thursday night football game following the following one, not the one for this week. But it's, as of right now, the records, of course, because I won't know potentially what the records will be then, but as of right now, 5-3 Cardinals, 6-2 Seahawks. Big division game, especially for trying to stay in first place for this. Who picked the last one? Was that me or you?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I picked the Vikings.
So I get to pick this one. So I'm gonna go. I gotta go with the team that I think has a better offense and isn't struggling as much. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals on this one. I think that they will throw all over the Seahawks defense. Not to say that Russell Wilson won't put up good numbers against the Cardinals. I mean, he put up numbers against the Bills, but, the Bills were able to score almost every time they had the ball. So I feel like the Cardinals are going to do the same thing against that Seahawks defense.
Okay. Awesome. The Cardinals already beat the Seahawks once this year.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah.
They were the Seahawks' first loss. I think with the Cardinals winning on Sunday and then turning around and beating the Seahawks on Thursday, that's going to have them take over first place in the division. So they're on track to win the division, like I said at the beginning of the year. But yeah, the Cardinals are going to beat the Seahawks on Thursday.
Fair enough. I like it. All right. Well, we got our picks of the week all wrapped up now with that, and good to go. Excited to see how these games turn out. It's always funny when your team has a bye. You're watching all these other teams play, and you're not so stressed about how your team's going to do. But now, going back to stressing about my team and hoping that they can be able to beat the Seahawks. So we'll see how that goes. I don't think there's any other major, updates or anything like that we need to go over, other than the normal news that you always say towards the end of the podcast. So you can always update us on that.
Earl Thomas, still not signed. No, I do want to throw one thing out, though, really quick, being a Raiders fan. So at the beginning of the year, Stephen A. Smith and Terry Bradshaw both said the Raiders would have a 4-12 record. Those two guys can suck it because they're 5-3.
Showed you. Teach you guys to say that. It's too funny. Alrighty, awesome. Well, we appreciate the listens as always from everyone. Hopefully we'll get some more top 5, bottom 5s. Maybe we'll reach out to some people personally and tell them to go and put their top 5, bottom 5s on the podcast. As always, we always gotta remind you guys you can follow us on Facebook and write the comments about that. Sports Harder podcast on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, sports_harder_podcast. Follow us on Twitter at sportsharderp, capital S, capital P. You can also follow us on YouTube, Sports Harder Podcast. We've been enjoying doing the videos and having those uploaded. Let's see. As always, listen. You can listen to the audio if you don't want to look at our ugly mugs. Then you can listen to the audio on Anchor. It's so pretty, so luscious.
So really quick, I have to, since you're talking about how luscious my beard is, really funny. On Saturday, I bowled, and we have the requirements of wearing a mask unless you're up on the approach, right? Well, I go up on the approach and I just pull my mask down. I pull it back up after I throw my ball, and then I'm sitting down and I feel like there's an eye, like a hair tickling my eye. So I'm thinking it's my hair because my hair is crazy long too. So I'm thinking that it's my hair. So I'm trying to brush it away, and I ended up pulling it, and it's one of my beard hairs because they go up past my eyes now. My mask pulled it up under my glasses. It's a funny joke. So I was like, all right, that's terrible.
Oh, I love it. Well, we, as always, we appreciate everyone. Like we said, Anchor, you can find us, Apple Podcasts, any major podcast places. Spotify is usually the major one that a lot of our listeners listen to us. So, check us out on Spotify. My brother-in-law is still working on the logo. He sent me some preliminary sketches. I kind of like how it's turning out. So that'll be fun to have the new logo, and we'll post that everywhere. But yeah, anything else you have to add before we wrap it up?
No. Our YouTube videos are actually getting hits, which is kind of cool. I know our first YouTube video, we had 12 views. Our second one, we had 15 views. And then the last one that we did a couple of weeks back, we've only got 2 to 4 views, somewhere around there. So give us the love on YouTube. We do appreciate it. It's awesome. Appreciate all the support from everybody too. So.
Alrighty, awesome. Well, it'll be a little bit longer of a stretch before we do another podcast since we did it early on Tuesday. Enjoy your trip, and when you come back, then we'll be able to do another podcast. We probably won't see you guys until not this Friday, but the following Friday. So I know everyone will miss our lovely voices and our beautiful faces, as we're sitting here. So, but we'll catch you guys on the flip side then.
Later.
Peace.